Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have each and every one of you today. It's an exciting day for us at UCT. And of course, it is Youth Month. And so we are excited about this program that we are launching today. And so on behalf of the University of Cape Town, let me welcome you to this event. We are here to talk about the employment crisis in South Africa and to share with you an idea, a project that we believe can help to address this crisis. And what a better time to do this, because this is Youth Month. And in Youth Month, when you have 60% unemployment among our youth, then Youth Month is a time actually to address that problem. And this project that we're launching today will give young people an option for their future. And it will help address South Africa's crisis and boost the economy. The unemployment crisis in South Africa is not a simple one. It encompasses a number of factors, and those factors include a high general unemployment rate, the prospects of university students whose studies were interrupted for one reason or another, the brain drain that draws Africa's most talented young people away from their home continent, and the effects of the Fourth Industrial Revolution on Africa's economy and society. A study that was conducted in 2019 revealed that 78% of university students could not complete their 3-year degrees in the allotted time. In fact, more than half did not complete their degree even after 6 years, and the degree is 3 years, scheduled for 3 years. The Citizen reported last week about the widespread concern among higher education leaders over the high rate of students with interrupted university degrees. It quoted Higher Education, Science and Innovation Minister Blade Nzimande as saying, and I quote, "One of the challenges we need to confront is the number of students who enter our university system as a proportion of those who started grade 1. Out of 100 students, only 12 access our university system, and only 6 complete," close quote. I mean, just imagine, only 12 out of 100 students who start grade 1, only 12 access our university system, and only 6 out of the 12 complete. This is a crisis. Across South Africa, many university students are dropping out of their study programs for many different reasons. And this limits their job prospects, because if you don't have a degree, it's tough to get a job in this country. A degree is often the key to employment. We know this because 85% of graduates who do complete a degree program are employed. Of course, we can talk about unemployed graduates, but a degree gives you a chance of getting a job in this country. However, these days, even some successful university graduates are battling to find an entry-level job that will help them start a climb up a career ladder. Many find better employment prospects outside the country, and that robs South Africa of the talented, energetic young people we need to build our economic potential. We need these graduates to stay in the country. We need them to contribute to our economy. They can't do that if they have to look for opportunities elsewhere in the world. Meanwhile, corporates in South Africa are seeking candidates to help build the future of work in digitally based careers. But there are not enough eligible applicants in South Africa to apply for these jobs. We hear of CEOs who tell us that they still recruit talent from Indonesia or India. There is a clear skills gap to be filled if the country is going to not only keep up with the Fourth Industrial Revolution, but also to help lead the growth of the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Africa. And I am proud to say that UCT has a relatively low dropout rate compared to other universities in the country. Our dropout rate is about 10%. But here's the thing, we are not happy with that statistic. We are not happy because it means every year a significant proportion of our students suffer a heartbreaking disruption in their education, largely due to circumstances out of their control. Sometimes we make an assumption that when people drop out of university, it's because they were not serious about their studies. Often, it's largely due to circumstances out of their control. And this is the situation we want to address in our panel discussion today. And I want to introduce two people who will join me in this panel discussion or in this conversation to really talk about this problem that we are facing of unemployment in our country and how we can attend to this problem. And first joining me is our Chair of Council, Mebaba Longonyama. Of course, Mebaba Longonyama is an entrepreneur. She's a CASA, but she's an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She owns and leads several businesses. And we are fortunate to have her as our leader, as someone who's leading us, and someone, therefore, who can understand why it is important for the university to attend to this problem. And also joining me on this conversation is Andrew. Andrew is co-founder and managing director of Umuzi. Andrew, of course, besides being co-founder and managing director of Umuzi, is a UCT alumnus. And here's the thing about UCT alumnus. They are gifted, they are creative, and they work with us on finding solutions to the problems that we are facing and we as a university want to attend to. But perhaps if I go on to that, let me ask you, Andrew, you and I have had conversations about students whose studies have been interrupted.
Yeah.
And the shame that people feel about that. Maybe you should share with people what your views about this.
Thank you so much, Mama Kheti, and good morning to everyone out there. We really appreciate you joining. In the work that we do at Umuzi, we support talented, unemployed young people to get into these high-value digital jobs.
Yeah.
And of course, a portion of them are interrupted students from all across South Africa, all of our universities. And what we find, one of the big insights that we find is that these young people feel so much guilt, so much shame for dropping out. Like they've dropped the ball, like they've really let their families down. And so there's an emotional hurdle that they have to get over in order to unlock and unleash their potential again. And I think this is the thing that I'm excited and proud to change in this country. We've got to change the narrative that young people believe about themselves, about why they were interrupted in the first place, and what that can lead to going forward. An interruption does not mean the end.
Yeah.
And this is something that we have to make clear in all our discussions in the zeitgeist of South African conversations at the moment.
Thanks, Andrew. I mean, it's true. There's no need to feel shame. There's always other ways to succeed. But Chair, you are in the business sector, and you out there, you hear a lot about the 60% of youth in South Africa who are unemployed. How does that make you feel as an entrepreneur, as someone who came from the rural areas and managed to succeed in a very tough world, and you, in some ways, creating jobs for many, mentoring many? How does it make you feel that despite all this work that you're doing, there's still 60% of our young people who are unemployed in this country?
VC, it's very unfortunate, I must say. I'm saying so because, firstly, these kids, we know they are capable. As you said, I mentor some of them. I work with some of them. I've employed some of them. And we are talking here also about the businesses that require this capable youth. So somehow you begin to wonder, where are we missing the point? So the demand for the skills is there. Our businesses are really struggling to get IT skills. We are struggling out there to make sure that we engage meaningfully. We develop technologies which powers the growth of our economy. Whereas you have people who are dormant out there, who are highly skilled, who are from our university, but somehow in one way or the other, they are lost in the system. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. I mean, you're talking about this untapped talent that we are actually not drawing on, and Andrew talks about that a lot as well. I mean, it's a shame that we've got these smart young people, many of whom get accepted at university, and then their studies get interrupted, and then they are out there. They can do something, but they just need a push, and they don't. And you can talk to us about this untapped talent, despite the fact that we've got a need in the business world.
Yeah, we often hear words like unemployed youth, and we see them as this one massive unit, and that's one of the biggest challenges, is that unemployed youth, interrupted learners. There's a myriad of reasons why people are interrupted, be it life, be it financial, be it personal, emotional wellness. And I think what we need to do is support these young people who have the talent and aptitude to make a success of themselves. We need to get out of their way. We need to provide as much access as possible to these young people so that they can enable their own potential. And through that, we can build a new generation of social capital. Because that's the challenge of South Africa 25 years later, is that we still have the haves and the have-nots, and we have no bridges in order to cross this inequality and divide. Education, we know, and skills are the way in which to build and to change that. We need to build a generation of young people that feel positive, confident within themselves, and have the access and opportunities to enable that potential and then to support others. Otherwise, we continue to go down a path where the haves and the have-nots grow wider and further apart. And I really believe that interrupted learners and interrupted students are the key to getting these young people across that bridge as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. You know, being Vice Chancellor is an interesting job, because I see talented students who come into the university. I mean, throughout my career as an academic, I've met so many students who come into universities gifted, capable, and it is so sad to see some of them having to stop their studies. I mean, there's one who I know, for example, who left not long this year. I looked at his performance on PeopleSoft just to see, is it because he's not coping? And this student is getting 70%, but he's not well. And of course, he's not well. He's got to manage his illness, and his parents were here, and he's got to go home, right? So his study is interrupted, not because he wasn't doing well. He's getting 70s, and I can say he's doing medicine, and you can see he's gonna get this degree if he was okay, but he's not okay. He's got to go home. Yeah. And there I was pleading with his parents, please make sure that he gets care. We need him back. Do I know if he'll come back? I'm keeping contact with him. But how many such students fall through the cracks? You know, and there isn't anyone following up on them, or they fall through the cracks in that way, and they don't manage to come back, because either they don't get better, and 3 years later they feel like they're a little too old or whatever. He's got a scholarship. The fact that he had to go home because he's not well means that he loses the scholarship. You know, so there's so many challenges that when you see people sitting at home, it's not usually because they're not. It's not because they are not doing well, and sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's health-wise. But yeah, you meet also many young people, and you see many of the challenges that some young people face out there in your work. What are some of the long-standing or perhaps even new challenges that face our youth when it comes to trying to get employed, and they haven't finished their degree, but they're trying to get employed? What are some of those challenges that they face?
So the big one is the practicality of their skill, you know, and the relevance of their skills to the corporate world, you know. And I believe that at UCT, with our excellence, you know, we should be able to provide and empower these kids with the tools, therefore, such that we fast track their participation in the corporate world. You know, we can fast track their careers by giving them extremely relevant and practical tools or skills that they need. So that's the big one. If we develop a child that can walk into a boardroom and have meaningful conversations with clients, that's the type of a child a corporate leader needs.
Thank you, Chair. But actually, what is the demand for digitally savvy, digitally enabled youth versus the supply? I mean, is my sense right?
That's such a great question, because I think, Chair, you were speaking about it earlier, and there's a massive what we call market breakage here. We've got a massive youth unemployment problem in South Africa, and we heard all the Youth Month speeches from all of our different walks of life in South Africa, politicians, corporate citizens, society. And then on the other side, we've got all these corporates who are saying, we've got massive demand for these digital skills. And we need to meet the skills where these young people are in order to deliver on the work that is needed for the future of work. And this is the exciting part that we see, is that there's a whole bunch of skills that young people can take advantage of right now and get entry-level jobs, start to climb the tech ladders. And it's not just about coding, because often when people think digital skills, they're like, okay, well, if I can't code, then am I useless in this economy? And you're absolutely not. That's the exciting part. There's so many jobs available. I mean, just to give you a sense, the big 4 banks alone are spending over 4 billion rand a year on offshoring these tech skills to places like India, Eastern Europe, and the Philippines. Imagine if we brought that back into our economy. Imagine what that would do to the tax base, to the dependency values in South Africa, and effectively to the unemployment ratios. It would probably create around about 10,000 new jobs in the digital economy in South Africa alone. This is the stuff that we can work on right now to change, not 20, 30 years, but to change the trajectory within 2 to 5 years of this country. That's why I'm excited about the work that we are doing together and the work that we do at Amuzi.
Great, but if I'm sitting there and I'm CEO of a company and I'm watching this online and I'm like, I need those skills. I need to work with UCT. I need to get onto this. What would be your advice? And I'll come to you, Chair, as well. What did you say that a CEO should do?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think that we have to look at it from a demand-led approach, right? So people that are sitting as CEOs or heads of units need to go, what are the demands of the skills that I need? And they need to map that out. And then what they need to do is find alternative pipelines to find these entry-level and mid-level and senior-level jobs. And I think one thing that is really, really important is that junior positions need to be junior positions. I think what we often look at, or what I often hear in boardrooms, is that we need to find the unicorns, the people that actually are junior. We can pay them junior salaries, but they actually are like mid-level and senior kind of skill set. We need to enable people by building out pipelines to these new careers and start with enabling junior positions, mid positions, and senior positions as well.
Great. Chair, if the CEOs there, what would you say to them?
I would say just partner with UCT. Let's develop the skills together. That's not difficult. With our excellence, as well as your understanding of your needs as the CEO. Once you mix those two, the one thing you get out of that is a student that can deliver to your needs immediately. So funding the development of the students is quite important, and it is required, therefore, for South African corporate to participate meaningfully in that space. It's not going to happen by itself, not at all. If we don't put our money where it matters, if you decide to put your money in another country, unfortunately, it disappears in that country. Whereas if you put it in South Africa, you invest it in this country, you circulate it, and there's so many benefits beyond even the IT skills that you have invested in. So certainly that partnership between us, it will go a long way in helping corporates solving their supply problems.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, we chatted to the Chancellor about this initiative. And the Chancellor was incredibly excited about this because she works with young people, she creates opportunities for them, she wants to see, especially young women, get into technology. So she sent us a message, and we want to show it just now, a message from the Chancellor.
Good morning to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng, our Chairman of Council, Ms. Babalwa Ngoyama, and our partner, Mr. Andrew Levi, all honored guests and students. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you today as we launch our bootcamp. Last year, when UCT launched the online high school, I said, maybe, just maybe, we have radically transformed the impact that projects like these could have on South Africa and on the rest of the African continent. Today, launching the UCT Digital Bootcamp, I want to reiterate the potential impact of programs like these, which use technology innovatively to transfer critical skills and knowledge in South Africa and Africa. We know that unemployment remains our biggest challenge. The mismatch between skills young people have and the skills demanded in the labor market not only drives youth unemployment, but limits economic growth, innovation, and standards of living for us all. The fourth industrial revolution implies the creation of jobs within the knowledge-based fields, but this can exacerbate inequality and divisions in countries where quality education is not reaching the majority of the population. The UCT Digital Bootcamp will help prepare our current and future workforces for a 21st century labor market that is unpredictable, that requires a creative, adaptable mindset above all else. The International Labour Organization points to technical and work readiness training as the most notable interventions promoting the ability to learn, adapt, communicate effectively, and solve problems independently. Children entering the schooling system now are preparing for jobs that don't yet exist. Which industries will be creating these jobs in the future? Will it be the young people who will create the opportunities for themselves? We can't say for sure, but we can provide the broad skills and ways of thinking that are going to be needed, and we can make this widely available. In its recent digital economy diagnostic of South Africa, the World Bank noted that the digital entrepreneurship sector remains largely white, male, and middle class, even though public and private initiatives, such as the Black broad-based economic empowerment and dedicated women-led angel investment networks, are starting to bridge some of these gaps. Initiatives like this will change and help build economies that are innovative and inclusive and that work for all South Africans. In Youth Month, the Digital Bootcamp will help give young people the agency to design their own lives, create their own opportunities, and empower others around them. I wish you well with this great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our Chancellor, but also thank you to our Chair of Council and Andrew Levi. Andrew Levy, thank you very much for the participation in the panel and the discussion, Chair. Really much appreciated. This is a very, very needed initiative, and I'm glad that we are able to do it at this point with a pilot of only 100 students. So I want to, what we've done, it sort of sets the scene for a new pilot program that we want to introduce to the UCT community and everyone out there. And it is based on two important premises. The first is our belief in the potential of every student who registers at UCT to make a positive contribution to the future of South Africa. This includes those students who face the disappointment of having to disrupt their university education for whatever reason. It is important to remember that just getting admitted to UCT is a daunting effort that deserves our respect. Many students work for many years just to get to UCT. And when they make it and their studies get interrupted, it doesn't mean that they never deserved the position. We only admit the top performing matriculants here at UCT. So we do not believe students who drop out of university are failures. Our view is that they have simply experienced a disruption to their education. And as we have learned from the pandemic, disruptions can point the way to new solutions and new opportunities. For this reason, we are partnering with digital education company Umuzi to offer a different program of learning to our interrupted studies students, as well as our few unemployed UCT graduates, so that they can increase their likelihood of finding work or creating their own entrepreneurial opportunities. So today, we launched the UCT Digital Bootcamp pilot program. The UCT Digital Bootcamp will offer sponsored training to eligible UCT interrupted study students or UCT graduates who have not been able to get a job since graduating 3 or more years ago. They do not need to have any previous digital experience or skills. We will consider them as long as their studies were interrupted 3 years ago, and they haven't had a job since they graduated 3 years ago. We're limiting it to 3 years ago in this way, just so that we're able to pilot this and we can see how it works. An important part of UCT or of our vision 2030 here at UCT is to help our students take their rightful place in the global digital economy. We don't just want them to fill digital jobs, but we also want them to bring an African perspective to help steer the growth of the digital economy across and for our continent. This is part of our institutional mission to unleash human potential to create a fair and just society. We also want to fulfill our duty to encourage the growth of our country and our continent. We are motivated by our awareness of the massive untapped talent and ability that is available in South Africa's young people. If a lack of digital training is what stands between these talented future leaders and a job, then we aim to address that lack. We are seeing the growing need for digital skills in more and more professional fields, including law, social services, media communication, and other non-scientific sectors. And it is for this reason that we encourage all UCT students to consider developing information technology skills while pursuing a degree in their chosen program of study. Because we want all our graduates to be ready to work within the fourth industrial revolution and influence its impact in South Africa. So as we speak, we've got a growing number of students who have a major in humanities and they're taking computer science. We've got more students who are taking information systems that are not in the Faculty of Commerce or Faculty of Science, they're in other faculties. And this is a good thing. But today, with the launch of the UCT Digital Bootcamp pilot program, 100 young people will begin to move ahead in a direction that may be different from their original career goals, but will provide the skills for them to possibly reach those goals by a different path. I have learned through my own career that life brings many turns, bumps, and changes along the way. There is no single correct path. Let me tell you, when you look at successful people, do not assume that there was just one path and they followed it and voila, they got it right. There are many people out there whose studies were interrupted for one reason for another, and they made a successful career out of that. And one person who I really respect, who's had that experience, is Dr. or Professor Bonang Mohale, who's now Chancellor of the University of the Free State, and is a professor in practice at the University of Johannesburg. He tells his story of how he started his degree at Wits and he was interrupted and he had to go into the world of work, and how he navigated that world of work to make a successful career that he currently has. He's not the only one. There are many other people who came through that route, Kaya Dlanga and many other people who have built successful careers, even though they had their studies interrupted for one reason or another. So there is no single correct path. The opportunities to learn and grow from a different path are endless. So if you get this letter today that I'll be sending to you as a UCT student whose studies were interrupted, grab the opportunity. The UCT Digital Bootcamp is designed to provide you with another opportunity, a different kind of opportunity for you to build a career and succeed. UCT and UMUZI are not doing this alone. We have generous sponsorships from international corporates that are eager to employ young South Africans in their local offices. But we also encourage UCT Digital Bootcamp participants to think beyond corporate employment, to consider ways that they can shape new services and businesses around the skills they will learn in this program. We don't want to merely duplicate what the rest of the world is doing in the fourth industrial revolution. Instead, we want to give South Africans the skills to lead how the digital revolution will help Africa to grow in economic strength and global influence. This is an unmissable opportunity for UCT interrupted studies students and graduates who have demonstrated their academic talent and want to take it into the future, either as skilled staff in the corporate world or as digitally savvy entrepreneurs. I welcome each and every young person who will be taking up this opportunity. And I look forward to seeing thousands, even millions more students gaining these essential digital career skills in the future. We're starting, of course, with a pilot of 100, and we hope to grow as we partner with more corporates who need these skills and trust us as an institution to develop them, and then they can hire them so that they can get into the world of work and make a success of their career. Now I want to hand over to our Chair of Council for her message of support for this program. Mebaba Longonyama, over to you.
Let me greet you again. It's a real pleasure to be with you today. It's an important day for UCT, and we are here today because of our commitment to our Vision 2030, which is to unleash human potential, to create a fair and just society. At UCT, let me remind you, colleagues, that we develop critical thinkers. We develop leaders and individuals who will create ripples in their communities and on a global stage. People who will provide a different set of solutions for the world challenges, and in so doing, create a better future for all. So we have to be forward-looking, therefore, in the way we help our young people become productive citizens. We are executing this vision when the world has just witnessed an unprecedented change in the last 2 to 3 years. And we arguably no longer find ourselves dealing with an era of change, but rather a change of era. So as we emerge in a post-pandemic world, it is evident that our lives have irrevocable changed. Hybrid work, new ways of learning and living are here to stay. And we meet this reality in an unfolding context of escalating global social tensions, as well as threatening economic recession and increasing inequality. The expression of these forces in the South African environment is too familiar to most of us. In fact, it was in March that the World Bank confirmed that South Africa is the most unequal country in the world. We sit at the top of the World Bank Global Poverty Database based on our household income generation. To solve for a better future at this point in human history, and notable for South Africa, we are very clearly called to find new ways of value creation that speak to generating both economic and social impact that is fit for purpose for the hybrid world which we now inhabit. So technology is no longer only a tool set that enables our lives, but it is the very place we live our lives. So during lockdown, we all had to learn at pace how to truly connect, live, engage, work, learn, and more importantly, support each other in a virtual world, through Zooms, Teams, or social media itself. This is why a top university in Africa, UCT, is exceptionally proud of launching this unique program, the UCT Digital Bootcamp, in partnership with Umuzi. Thanks to Umuzi. This is an initiative that has been carefully cultivated by our Vice Chancellor, members of the executive, as well as UCT staff. We are so excited about offering an opportunity to extraordinary talent that would otherwise be left dormant. We believe that every student who is admitted to UCT, as the VC says, can contribute to the growth of South Africa. We have the ability to reskill and put to work many young individuals in building the digital and technology skills to power the growth of our economy. So the Africa's leading university is not an island, colleagues. It's not an ivory tower. Instead, we want to share academic excellence in all spheres of our society. UCT is known for academic excellence, and we believe that all people from all walks of life have the potential to be great beyond imagination. Every human being deserves the chance to live up to their capabilities. As an entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Scenario Group, I know that South Africa has a shortage of skills in business. I also understand clearly that the velocity and the breadth at which technology is evolving today, it necessitates many businesses to adopt new technology to capitalize on the narrow window of opportunity these new technologies offer to create such a competitive advantage for the products and services businesses offer. And what you must not forget, though, is that these new technologies require a different set of skills to develop and support them. Whilst we continue to draw from a limited pool of computer science graduates and IT industry certified resources, businesses are forced to adopt new technologies to compete, but they also need to support many current and past IT investments for the foreseeable future, placing therefore further pressure on the limited supply of IT resources. Therefore, the need for different level of IT skills, formal degree educated professionals, as well as specialist and generalist trained, certified IT staff to fill the gaps in the market and to leverage the cost benefit of a multi-skilled IT resource pool is very important. One sure way to answer the challenge business face in a limited and fluid IT job skilled market is to increase supply of these multi-skilled IT resources. And the potential, colleagues, for South Africa and the continent to answer the IT skills challenge we face is very high. Remember, let me remind you a few things. We have a lot going for us in South Africa. Our time zone location makes us very attractive for IT support to global businesses, as we can support more than 3/4 of the globe business in their core operational hours. Also remember, Africa has a young and vibrant workforce and a relatively young population, which allows, therefore, the development of IT skills to be in the newer technology instead of only converting current IT skills, which will still be required and relevant for some times. All that is left to do then is to develop this potential. As I mentioned to VC and Andrew, you can only partner with UCT and MUSI, and we ensure that we change the landscape. We make sure that we power our country, we create significant opportunities for the use of our country, and more importantly, our continent. Let me sincerely thank you, the management of UCT, for carefully crafting and building this program that we are launching today. You have all made us proud. You have made a contribution to the UCT vision, and we commend you for your commitment in creating the high-standing university, or the high standing this university continues to hold in the higher education in Africa. And to all those students and individuals that shall have the privilege to be enrolled in our digital program, I wish you all the best as you embark on your goals. You must nurture, guard, and build yourself in order to add value for our society. Together, we face the challenges of our time. Let's do so in a spirit of service to one another. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much for that message of support. We have a few questions, not a few questions, a lot of questions, which is great. So Andrew and I are going to try to answer those questions. So what I'll do, Andrew, I'm going to ask you to keep looking at the questions, whichever one you want to answer, you take it up and answer it. I'm going to start with a few that are focused on UCT. I'll start with that, and then we'll keep doing that. So there's someone who asked whether this program is open to staff. Let me say, rather than say it's not open to staff, let me say it is open to students whose studies were interrupted. And for the pilot program of 100 students, we only sending letters to students whose studies were interrupted between 2015 and 2019. Okay, so we're focusing in that window for the pilot project. We know that there are many other students whose studies were interrupted before 2015, and we will go back as we get partners to partner with us to sponsor this program. And then there's someone who asked, is this for undergrad or postgrad? Are postgrads allowed? We have focused on undergrads who actually don't have any, in a way, if you don't get your undergraduate degree, you sort of remain a matriculant, and it's a tough ride there. So we're focusing on undergraduate, people who are registered for undergraduate programs and their studies were interrupted. That's where we're studying. Andrew, I don't know if there's questions that you've identified.
There was just one question that I think is quite important to us, asking, what does this entail? What are we actually offering here? And I think just to make it very clear, we've worked with some of the biggest global technology partners to offer some of what they call micro-credentials from organizations like Google, AWS, and Meta, which for people like me who don't know what Meta is, that's Facebook and Instagram. And these are 8 different learning pathways, from your data analytics and IT support all the way through to creative fields as well. So if you go on, there's a link on this, and there will be links post this as well. You'll see all the different pathways that are offered and what is entailed in all of them. And what's interesting is I did at UCT, I did an economics, philosophy, and politics degree. So I had no prior knowledge to anything in the comm sci traditionally fields. And I recently did the Google Data Analytics program. It was very challenging, I'm not gonna lie, it was very challenging, but it's amazing. And I continue to use the skills that I've received from there. And I suppose the reason I'm saying this is because you don't need to have any prior IT skills regarding these pathways. You need to just apply, and if you have the right aptitude for this pilot, then we will absolutely accept you and work with you to get you through these programs. And I think on that, this is the pilot. We've got 100 young people that we're very excited to accept. But of course, we're going to be working with our corporate partners. We want to thank them for their initial investment, and we want to work with them to increase the seats that we can partake in this program going forward.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. So there are some people who are saying, but some people, we are not young anymore and we need the skills. Here's the thing: we are not checking the age. When we talk about youth unemployment, that's a statistic that we can point to, and that's a worrying statistic for the country, so we make reference to that. But for this program, we will not be checking age. We only check whether your studies were interrupted. We don't even check why they were interrupted. As long as you started your studies at UCT and didn't complete, we then track those students. We'll send them letters of invitation. You've got to get the letter, read the letter, click and take the aptitude test, and then wait for the outcome, and then get on with the program if you are selected. So you've got to take that aptitude test seriously, because that's what's going to decide whether you go in or not, right? So as we speak, there are people who are getting letters at the moment, and my hope is that they will respond so that we can get their responses to the aptitude test. And then there are people who are asking about, why are you doing this as UCT when you could be funding postgraduate students? Well, here's the thing: we are not spending money doing this. I know we don't have that money. We don't have that money. We've got a budget that we have allocated to postgraduate, this postgraduate scholarships office. And because of the great need, that money is depleted. We are not able to fund every postgraduate student, okay? There are a lot of other grants and calls that advertise that we encourage students to apply for, including the Mamokgethi Phakeng Scholarship for postgraduate students, women students. And you can only apply for that and compete. You can also apply for that and compete in that regard. But we haven't put in money of the university to do this. We work with partners, we work with corporates who can sponsor this program so that it can go ahead. We make it our business to do that. We could just ignore it and say interrupted studies, duh, so what? We are a responsible institution. We take our massive transformative purpose seriously, and it's for that reason that we do in this program, to make sure that the potential of the students who came to UCT in the first place is not lost, but it's unleashed for a fair and just society. So this is not a comparison. What's better, postgrad or this? It's not a comparison. This is a need for our country, and that's why we're focusing on it. Andrew, do you have another question?
Yeah, I think there's a good question around certifications. What kind of certifications will students get at the end of this? So we have encouraged, this is where maybe we disagree with things slightly. Muzi doesn't believe in the piece of paper as much as the skills that are learned on the journey. And so you get micro-credentials and certificates from the technology partners, that being Google, Facebook, and AWS. But more importantly, we are supporting all these learners to find their next step on the learning to earning journey. So we really, really believe that this is a platform for you to springboard into a potential digital technology career. And we support all of our learners to go through this and find their next step. That could be a professional certification, that could be straight into a job, that could be down an entrepreneurial field. Umuzi is here. We really believe in building up the next generation of social capital in South Africa. We want to be an important partner with our young people to do that. And so we believe that the next steps are multiple in terms of the journey that they take.
Great. I see a question. One of the questions is about the person says they have sat on many selection committees at UCT, and they've seen us reject students who, applicants simply because they lack a degree or a specific NQF level. Jobs, every job has got requirements, okay? Every job has got requirements, skills requirements, qualifications requirements, attitude, values, whatever. Every job has got requirements. So if you're sitting on a selection committee, there are requirements. And if the requirements in that department is that they need someone with a degree, that's what it is. We're going to go with someone with a degree. So doing this program to actually intervene in the situation of students who are unemployed, who are UCT interrupted study students who are unemployed, does not mean we should suddenly change our employment and just say, well, we don't care about a degree. We can't say that. It depends on the job. It depends on what skills the job needs and where those skills can be acquired. And it's the decision of the department. Surely we cannot put someone in a molecular cell biology lab who has not studied that, okay? Simply because we are saying digital skills are important. So let's see these things as different. I understand that there are many challenges. Jobs are hard to come by. So selection committees sit with a lot of applicants, and many of them do not succeed. That doesn't mean we've got to employ all of them as UCT, because we just simply don't have the positions. But we, at this program, this program that we are launching focuses on attending to the challenges that students who registered at UCT and their studies were interrupted are facing, and we're trying to ensure that we meet that need. Maybe I should give the last question to you, and then we can go.
Oh, wow, that's
is it quick?
Sure, that's no, I mean, geez, now you're putting me under pressure about to choose which question. There's so many great questions here.
Yeah.
Just to say, some of the questions that have come through have been really, really important. One of them that I want to pick up on is someone said, is there a stipend associated to this learning opportunity to try and decrease the barriers to entry in upskilling? At this point in time, for this specific program, there isn't a stipend. That's the pilot. We are working with our corporate partners to see how we can support young people further. I mean, obviously, we want to make it bigger. We want to get more learners in this program, but we also want to make sure that those hurdles, those barriers to entry, come down as much as possible. So we're looking into this. We understand that stipends are important. In this pilot, we will not be offering a stipend, but going forward, we will try and build out ways in which to decrease the barriers to enable your potential.
Great. So this is an opportunity. So rather than not taking it because there's no stipend, if you don't take it, if you get a letter and you don't take it because you're saying there's no stipend, then you really, really do not have a problem of unemployment. My advice is, if you get the letter, or if you know anyone who gets a letter of invitation, to grab it, run with the opportunity, because jobs are hard to come by. Get the skill, and then, if you get the opportunity, get into the program, focus, get it, and run and develop a career. I can tell you that 10 years from now, it will be irrelevant how your studies were interrupted when and how, whatever, because you would have built a successful career from the skills that you would have benefited from this program. So let's encourage people to do that, because we've got to use the little resources that we have that are donated by our corporate partners to actually address the real problems that we are facing. Otherwise, we might miss the boat, right?
Absolutely. And look, we are aware that this is just for UCT students currently. We want to grow this to other universities in South Africa and on the continent as well. if you sit with outside of that, if you're a friend who's heard about this amazing initiative and want to get involved, want to build up these skills, go to umuzi.org, a shameless plug, and see if there's a program there for you. But we will really be trying to grow this initiative with UCT to encapsulate as many young people as possible so that we can really stay true to the 2030 vision of unleashing human potential in South Africa.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew. Our young people face a daunting future. It's not easy at all. The past 2.5 years have been heartbreaking for the whole country, in fact, the whole world. Now it's time to rebuild our hopes. UCT and Umuzi are launching the UCT Digital Bootcamp because we believe it's so important to keep the dreams of our young people alive. After all, dreams lead to ideas and to innovation. Dreams help build the future. And so it's okay to dream big, to take a stab at solving a problem that looks unsolvable, this problem of unemployment. And that's what we're doing at UCT. The UCT Digital Bootcamp offers the possibility to not only change individual lives for the better, but also to revive South Africa's workforce, business environment, society, and economy. This partnership between Africa's top-ranked university, a leader in digital training and world-class corporates, is our way of saying that we believe in all the good that our young people have to offer, not just to South Africa, but to the world. So please use the details provided in the Teams chat to visit the UCT webpage on the UCT Digital Bootcamp. Make the most of this opportunity. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Maybe next time we meet, we'll be telling you about how the students are doing in the digital, how they have done in the digital bootcamp, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Good.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And again, to young people of South Africa who have been interrupted, interruption is not the end.
Yes.
So please apply to this program. Let's enable your potential together. I'm personally very excited. Apparently, I haven't been smiling enough. I'm seeing on Twitter, people are like, oh, you don't been smiling enough. I'm very excited about this program.
Great. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.